The sages acted as censors of the Bible. In this way, they also essentially took over the worldview of the New Testament they created, which is called the Oral Torah, and managed to interpret and shape the text however they wanted, and the public accepted it. Why did the public accept it? Because the reality during the time of the sages was that most of the people were illiterate and also didn't know Hebrew. They spoke Aramaic, so when the Torah was read in the synagogue, it was read in Hebrew, but most of the congregation in the synagogue didn't understand Hebrew, so it was translated into Aramaic right there during the synagogue service. And why did I say they were censors? Because let's look at what is written in Tractate Megillah, page 25a in the Mishnah. It says there that the story with Reuben, and Reuben lay with Bilhah, is read in Hebrew but not translated, so the congregation simply didn't know about it. The same goes for the story of the golden calf. The story with the calf, where Aaron says, I took the jewelry. There's the story in the book of Exodus, where he took the jewelry from the people, threw the gold into the fire, and suddenly the calf appeared. Suddenly this calf came out. So that part is not translated. No, what does Rashi explain? I'll read you what Rashi says, so that the common people won't be misled and think it really happened. So that they won't be misled, so they won't get confused, so they won't think that this was really the calf. In short, the sages were censored. And they acted on the text as they understood it. This was the case even if it still wasn't set in stone as a canonical book, where you can't even change a single letter. Apparently, it wasn't like that yet. That's also why there are words in the Torah that they changed in the reading. I'll give you a few examples. I'll read from my book because it's easier for me. Let's listen to the Gemara. I'll translate it for you directly into Hebrew from the sage's text in another version. I bring this discussion from Tractate Megillah, and then they say the following. In the book of Deuteronomy it is written, a woman will be betrothed and another man will have intercourse with her. Now, apparently in the time of the sages, the word to have intercourse with a woman was not considered a refined expression. So they say, don't read, will have intercourse with her, yishgalenah. Read it as will lie with her, yishkavenah. And that's why to this day the word yishgalenah is still written. But the Torah reader in the synagogue reads yishkavenah. Why is that? Because the sages decided to change it. Here I'll show you, I'm not sure if you can see it, but here on the side it says yishkavenah, while in the written text it says yishgalenah. And it's the same with the word uva'afolim, that the Lord will strike Egypt with boils and uva'afolim. That's what's written, but it's read as uvachorim, because the original isn't a clean expression. That is, it's the same with the story of Amnon, who raped Tamar, and Amnon is the son of David. And it's kind of unpleasant for the public to know that this is how David's son behaved. So everywhere in that story where it was written that Amnon raped Tamar, they said not to read it, not even to read or translate the story where it says Amnon, son of David. Now when they come to the word their excrement, for example, they say, what are you going to read it as excrement? Because even the word excrement isn't nice, even though it's written there. In a woman, oh. And therefore you should read instead, no, sorry, it was written to the stools in the language of dung. So instead of calling it to the stools, call it her excrement. And then they come and say, but that's only when it's about such a trivial, unimportant subject. But if the word is written to the stalls, in the sense of dung, about idol worshippers, Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha says you have to read the word stalls as it is, even though it's disgusting and repulsive. Why? Because this is about idol worshippers, and therefore it's appropriate to denounce idolatry with a word that is also unpleasant. That is, the main point I want to make in this video isn't this shallow discussion. Really, what are they even talking about here? It's their ability to censor, because they lived in a time when most of the people didn't know didn't know Hebrew. They only knew Aramaic. By the way, it's the same in Christianity. Most Christians couldn't read or write, and that's also why there are paintings in churches. It's to tell those who can't read or write through paintings the story of Jesus and everything that happened to him as told in the New Testament. So the New Testament of the sages is the same thing, just like the New Testament of Christianity. They tell stories to people who don't know the language, who can't read or write, changing what's written according to their own understanding and doing whatever they want. And regarding idol worship, it's permitted to use derogatory language, like calling idols by names derived from words like dung. Then a student says that it's permitted for a Jew. Rav Acha, son of Rav Ika, says it's permitted for a Jew to say to an idol worshipper, "Take your idol and put it in shin and tav," meaning in the buttocks. Shin and tav spell buttocks. And Abba Ashi also says that if someone is rumored and gossiped about as having committed adultery with a married woman, it's permitted to shame him and call him son of a filthy whore. This is from Tractate Megillah, page 25b. And what's funny about this whole thing is that today the believers come and claim, how is it possible to lie? How can you lie? How can you lie? The Talmud itself tells you how it's possible to lie. They censor. Most people couldn't read or write or know Hebrew, so things were translated. Then they decide what can be translated, what is forbidden, what can be read but not translated, and what cannot be read or translated at all. They just hide the whole matter. And then they come and tell you that anyone who reads all the apocryphal books has no share in the world to come. And today they come and tell you that if you have a phone with access, so you can enter the Datamet website or watch Yaron Yad'al's videos, they expel you from the yeshiva. That's how you can lie, because knowledge stands on three things. On lies, on these kinds of lies, like the ones here. Censorship is a lie. You're not exposing the whole truth, not revealing the entire truth to the people. On lies, on fear, and then you scare these people. You tell them, if you don't listen to me, after all, what did the sages do? Anyone who disagrees with his rabbi is liable for death. It is forbidden to disagree with the rabbi. On lies, on fear, and then naturally comes obedience. So knowledge stands on three things: on lies, on fear, and on obedience.